Howdy, and welcome to the Lost Rider Podcast. It's an honor and privilege to address you in the capacity of an interviewer, reporter, and media member. Too many modern media outlets have forgone the integrity and responsibility required of credible information sources. What you will receive here are straightforward discussions with legislators, agency leaders, biologists, engineers, doctors, and countless other experts that have the answers to questions often circulated as kitchen table issues. The title Lost Rider may be thought of literally as well as in the metaphorical sense. While there has been the instance that I was momentarily a little turned around at night in a wilderness area, the idea of being a lost rider in life, well, that fits most folks at some time. These renderings are coming to you in the form of the 25-year-old radio program, The News from the Camp House. It still airs every Saturday morning at 6:30 a.m. Central Time on KULM 98.3 FM out of Columbus, Texas. The original intent was to relate outdoor topics to the general public. Immediately, it was found that all issues are relatable to the outdoors and that people are people. They all play a role and they all have a vested interest. It's this program's desire to answer common questions about how the world works, how it will operate in the future, and what's the holdup? So please listen, enjoy, and never hesitate to contact us with more questions and feedback. Good morning and welcome to this weekend's edition of News from the Camp House, listening post of the Texas Sportsman Association. This is Herman Brune, and this weekend's edition is also brought to us by the Shaw's Bend Social Club, country club for folks who don't have a country club. All right, tell you what, it's kind of lit up on us here just recently. We've done this, updated this not too long ago, but now we got to do it again. And we're talking about screwworms. So we've got Farm Bureau Director Greg Buenger with us today. And Greg, how you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm doing fine. How's things in Cardinal Country?
Just, hell, we're hanging in there. Things have greened up some. We've had some rain now. I don't think anybody will ever turn it down after it was so dry. I think everybody just let it keep raining and don't mind. I've been getting these nice little showers just the way everybody likes them. Just get a little shower and then that'll do for a while. Get another little shower and that'll do for a while. Instead of just getting it all flood at one time. So I think right now we're all right. I don't know how long it'll last. We'll see. But now let's talk about screwworms. Because in the last week or so, it's lit up. What are we up to? 6 or 8 cases?
I'm afraid we're easily that now, and there'll be more. It's here. We talked a month ago. It's inevitable. It's going to be here. Well, now it's here. So, the thing about all this, we expected it. I'm not surprised that we got the cases in South Texas. I'm a little surprised that the northern aspect of some of these cases up in the hill country there, that's a little peculiar to me. Remember last time we talked about the flies, this time the screwworm flies, because we have some different, we're in a different situation than we were back in the 60s and 70s because of the way we monitor things. Just natural movement of these flies is more slowly and methodical. Well, I think, honestly, I think what happened with the cases at the border was the flies flew and like they do, and the cases moved organically. Let's use that word. The cases up in the hill country, Herman, everything in me tells me that those cases were inadvertently hauled up there. I think there were some animals that had some real obscure cases with some larvae and some wounds, and they weren't noticed, and they got hauled northward. And I think they had a little help getting up there. But in any event, we've got them at the border, and we've got them in the hill country.
All right. Well, but the thing was, I don't think everybody thought it was inevitable because we were talking about, a 50-mile buffer zone along the Rio Grande. And, it was, I don't think everybody realized it or thought it was inevitable. I know I had one of my buddies that's a tech writer that said it wasn't going to come across the Rio Grande, and now he's changed his tune also. He's going, we kind of knew this was going to happen. But I know he told me a couple months ago, he says, I don't think that's going to, it's going to get here. He said, I think they'll get it stopped. But, are they putting flies out? I think, did we not say last time, these flies have to come from Panama because the other places where they sterilize these flies aren't up and running yet, right?
You're absolutely right. And the problem is the fly numbers. And as an aside, you mentioned your friend that didn't think the flies would really get here. Well, I will also say, and I'll say this, a little tongue-in-cheek, but our legislature didn't think the flies were going to be here 2 years ago either, and so part of the reason we're just now building a fly facility in South Texas is because too many folks didn't take it seriously, and I was preaching over 2 years ago we need to build another fly plant, and it's been slow. But here nor there, here's the situation on flies. Yeah. We're getting the flies from Panama. And they are being the pupae of those flies. One of our conversations before talked about the life cycle. The pupae of those flies are being flown to South Texas to our distribution facility near Edinburgh, and they're hatched out there and they're distributed from there. Right now, all the flies are being distributed in South Texas and North Mexico. And honestly, in Mexico, the cases are across 3 Mexican states now. They're at Tamaulipas, which is the closest one to the coast, then Nuevo Laredo, and then Coahuila. Those 3 states, and they correspond to 7 counties across our southern border. So those are where that's where the flies are being distributed right now, and 100 million flies a week are available. Of course, biology, it's only 50 million male flies. And those are the ones that we need. There is a fly facility I mentioned last time in Matapa, Mexico, that this summer should start producing another 100 million flies. We just need a lot more flies, Herman. We need probably 500 million if this thing gets crazy like it looks like it's going to. We're going to need a lot of flies to eradicate it, but we can certainly manage it in the process. So that's where we are right now.
All right, what do you know what was the rate they were put out back in the 60s?
Yeah, back in the 60s, we had 4, maybe 5 facilities, and we were putting out right at 500 million flies a week back then. And of course, it was over a large area, but that was, I believe, the rate we had. We had several fly facilities, the Mission facility in Texas, and then there were some Florida facilities as well.
Okay. All right. And I watch what gets put up on the news. I watch what gets posted, and I see everybody comes together. I get a little bit aggravated because, everybody, Brooke Rollins and everybody comes together and they have meetings and boy, by God, this is what we're going to do and everything. And I don't think people right now want to hear about committee meetings. I think people right now are more interested in action, just pure action. I don't want to quit reading about all these meetings and groups getting together and talking about it. People want to see, immediate action, but I don't know how you address that.
I don't disagree, Herman, and honestly, I've been in some of those meetings with Brooke Rollins, and at some point, that we've got all the information we need to have. The problem we have right now, the frustration that I have is we do get a lot of conversation. We get a lot. Well, the flies are here, the flies are there. here's the products you can use to treat them. Here's that. Um, the action is necessary, and the problem with bureaucracies in today's world is that things don't happen fast. And there's a fly facility that I was at it was about 6 weeks ago. I was at the groundbreaking down there in Edinburgh of that new fly facility. It won't be producing flies till late in the year next year, and that's that's I don't know that it makes my hair hurt, you know.
Yeah. That's you look at that and you think, well, okay, that's not acceptable. We need to put somebody in there who knows how to push a job, and double up on how many men we put in there, get that thing up and running.
True. And one of the refreshing things, and again, I don't know what can be done to expedite it realistically. You know what we're dealing with, Herman. You know as well as I do the things we're dealing with. But I was encouraged that our governor has put his shoe in the hole and said, hey, Texas is going to do everything we can to help you guys speed this thing up a little bit. I don't know what that means, but at least there's some things that are happening, but the thing about the screwworm facilities and so forth, we're going to have to accept what they are at some point, and the time frame. We do need to concentrate. We need to as individuals and as cow-calf producers and stockers and whatever you are, or if you're just an observer,
right?
We need to be awake. We need to really be diligent in monitoring this thing. We need to absolutely report cases that are there, so that we can, first of all, keep track, and as the flies are there, we know where to take the flies and so forth. There's a couple of things that have been mentioned by other folks, and when I talk to people, I've been saying these two. Here's two things about screwworms or several things about screwworms that we have to understand. The first thing is they're not a food threat. They're not a threat to our food supply. Right. You can't get screwworms eating beef. The second thing is they're not contagious. So we can't treat them like a contagious disease. They're a condition of infestation. The animals that are infested with these larvae are not contagious to other animals. So we treat that animal, and that case is resolved. So it's a different animal as far as how we handle it in terms of quarantines and hold orders and shipping. We'll be able to move cattle even from infected zones, but they'll have to be moved with some obviously some permits, some inspection, those kinds of things.
All right. Okay. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break and thank the folks who let us come on here every Saturday morning. We'll be right back. Thank goodness for all the great sponsors we have here at News from the Camp House. HEB Food Stores. That's Stephen Tice at HEB. He helps me. He helps the community. He's a great man. I'm so thankful HEB loosened him up, lets him go around and sponsor a few things. HEB's got all your food needs. It's the greatest food store we got here in Columbus. Thank goodness for HEB. First State Bank. You go over to First State Bank, they'll take care of all your loans, all your deposits, your savings, anything you need. Bunch of great hometown people over there. You got Celia Tobias, John Pollock. Everybody over there is looking out for you. Miss Barbara Barta. It's a great bunch of folks at the First State Bank is also sponsoring News from the Camp House. First State Bank takes care of all my business. Baumgart Agency, Susan Baumgart at the Baumgart Agencies, her and Germania. She told me to plug Germania. Germania is an insurance that she likes everybody to know about. The Baumgart Agencies. Miss Susan and I are classmates, being classmates. She got me out of high school, sat right beside her, put us in alphabetical order where I could copy. And Susan Baumgart over at the Baumgart Agency, taking care of all your insurance needs. Lyco Realty, one of the original sponsors of News from the Camp House. Lyco Realty, the oldest real estate company in the county, and for the last 3 years voted the favorite realtor in the county. Lyco Realty, that's Miss Kimberly Johnson, that's Crockett's granddaughter. More kinfolks and classmates and great people from Colorado County. People from Colorado County helping people from Colorado County, that's great. Oh, thank goodness for all these wonderful people come to me want to be sponsors for news from the camp house. Good morning and welcome to the second half of this week's News from the Camp House. We're here with Farm Bureau Director Greg Buenger, and we're talking about screwworms. We're talking about, what you need to look for, what you need to watch for. And people don't know, because I was 10 years old when this went on in the 60s, and I've heard them talk about, well, they had them in the 70s. I do not remember. I do not remember them in the 70s. But in the 60s, I sure remember them. And I remember going to the pastures every day, working cattle every day, checking everything. And it all came right when there was a lot of baby calves on the ground. And it was bad. It was really bad. It's nasty. It's dirty work. It's bad if you're cow-calf operation or any kind of cattle operation, any kind of animal. People don't realize how nasty and this job turns into, and how labor intensive it turns into, to pay attention, to watch it, to see all your cattle every day, and doctor them if they need a doctor. They used to have calves tied all over the pasture. I read an article, and I remember Daddy had a collie dog that could sniff them out, and I read an article about other people saying they had dogs that could sniff them out. And so, I mean, this turns into so extremely labor intensive. And the way I remembered it is, if you missed a calf and didn't see him today, tomorrow that bugger was dead. That's the way I remember it. Now, I might be off just a little bit, but that is absolutely the way I remember it. If you missed something, it was dead. So this is something that we got to get a handle on, and it's amazing to me that we don't have these facilities, ready and going, and that, it's unacceptable. I think I'd raise holy hell in one of them committee meetings.
Yeah, I tell you what, we've asked a lot of questions. And you're right, Herman. I remember I was like you. I held the calves down when we doctored neighbors with smear 64 or smear 62. What I think it was 62. Anyway,
yeah.
It's interesting that in the 60s and 70s they were all here. I got my veterinary license in 1980. So in my practice years, we didn't have screwworms anymore. So I never treated them as a veterinary professional. Right. But I was out there in the dirt. I was out there in the dirt like you were. And you're right. Baby calf navels, that's one of their favorite places, or baby deer navel, unfortunately. Right. And they will, in a day or two, untreated, they will kill that calf, because they feed on that live tissue, and they get right up into the abdomen, and that's curtains for that baby, unfortunately.
And then what that happens is, you look at your people that synchronize their calving, that have a 90-day or a 60-day calving window. Well, they're past it now. But those farmers that only have 30, 40, 50 cows, that just leave the bulls out all year and got calves dropping indiscriminately whenever, now you got problems, because you got baby calves right now. That's where that's the first place you check. And so
you betcha. Yeah, and so I said this our last podcast. The folks that are diligent and have their cattle in front of them and monitor them well and so forth, they're gonna fare pretty well during this, especially because of some of the preventives and the treatments that we have available, which we talked about on the last podcast. But so it's the folks that are once a monthers, that's gonna get a little interesting, because it does take close monitoring of cattle and those there'll be some instances where people are gonna learn some lessons and face some challenges, I'm afraid.
All right, now all right, now we're going to also mention, just for the sake of not just for the sake of mentioning it, your exotic wildlife breeders, and you can't catch them critters, but you can see them, and you're not going to see them every day because you got to hunt them. But if you have, if you got, the best thing you can do is ask them to drop flies in there. As far as I know, I don't know what else you do for something like that.
Yeah, it's a big challenge. There's been some conversation about adding ivermectin to feed and those sorts of things for those wildlife. And the TWA, they're really trying to push for that, the Wildlife Association, and the Texas Screwworm Coalition, which we talked about before. It's a bunch of entities. Wildlife Group is one of those. The catch with that, the FDA has been reluctant to approve those kind of things. We used to have it and have additives to feed, but they've been reluctant to approve those again because of the dosing. Because some animals eat too much, some animals don't eat enough, and the FDA they're real fickle in how they approve those things. And if animals can't be consistently dosed, they don't like that. But I have heard, and I'm not positive of this, but I have heard that there's some headways being made for that to happen, where we have something in the feed that those wildlife producers could feed to their animals, and at least help some. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, you got to do something. I mean, otherwise they just keep proliferating. You got to do something to knock it back. Well, you're trying to save them, trying to save the animals, and then at the same time knock these things back. All right. Did you not tell me that you're talking about feeding a feed with Ivermectin in it, but is it also? Did you not tell me that the injectable works better than the pour-on?
In my experience, in my practice years, I've always felt better about injecting the dewormers, Dectomax, Ivermectin, whatever the case may be. I've always felt much better about my dosage when I injected it than when I poured it on. I just feel like the blood levels. I know what the label says, but I've always felt like you get a more consistent result with the injectable. And I might add that as far as the approved dosing for screwworms that's approved right now, it is only the injectable products. Now, that's not to say that the pour-on in a pinch, if you just got to use it, man, I'd use it. I'd get it in there.
Yeah.
But the approved products, Dectomax and Ivermectin, are the injectables.
About right now, I'd inject everybody. I'd go back to spraying, do everything. People just don't realize what and I'm not one of them people that likes to set their hair on fire and get all upset about everything all the time. But this is one of those things this is one of them mess around and find out deals if you don't take care of it.
Yeah, and I think, and I'm certainly one to say we shouldn't panic. I think we should be concerned and be informed as we can. In most instances, I don't believe that just blanket treating with Dorabectin or Dectomax basically and Ivermectin. I don't think blanket treatment is necessarily a good idea, especially in adult cattle. You get 2 weeks, maybe 3 out of that, and you'll be getting them up every 2 or 3 weeks to do that. I don't think that's really a good idea, just off the cuff. But okay. But monitoring, a lot of these animals. I mean, some animals will have obscure wounds and so forth and so on. But an animal that has larvae feeding on its live flesh, that's uncomfortable. So look at them, and they'll look uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Whether it's your horse or your dog.
Right. You're breaking up on me.
And I think there'll be some common sense stuff,
Yeah, you're breaking up on me a little bit, Greg. All right.
In a controlled zone by your veterinarian,
All right. Okay. All right. Any last thoughts? What are we you know, the heat of the summer's coming. What do you think?
Yep.
What's fixing to happen?
Well, you know, the screwworm fly operates best between about 70 and 88 degrees or 85 degrees, something like that. When it's very hot,
Yeah.
They're not as active. But you know what? We're in the Gulf Coast. You guys are down in the Gulf Coast region. It's warm. It's humid. That's what they really like, you know. And I'm hearing we got the El Nino thing back, so we're going to have more humidity and more moisture. You know, we're going to be in a situation where it's going to be an ideal environment for them probably through the summer until we get some freezing weather. But so I mean, it's in their favor. It is, Herman, honestly.
All right. Well, do you know, are they active? How many flies are they dropping now in those zones where they found them?
Well, they're having to spread them out. So you want to put as many as you can, but when you have 100 million a week to deal with, you have to do the calculations and put as many as you can. I know wherever there's a new area, those guys get fly dropped quickly. You'll see those little paper boxes just like in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody's working on it. Let's hope they catch another gear and get things going a little quicker.
I will say that USDA and the Animal Health Commission and all those, I will say I've witnessed them firsthand. I've talked to those folks, and the effort is amazing. I mean, they have jumped through hoops to get this expedited. The problem with the flies is that, you know, 2-3 years ago, nothing was done. We couldn't get a heartbeat out of the folks because, they're down in Mexico. Why are we worried about them? And we said, because they're not going to be in Mexico. They're going to, you know, and so when Brooke Rollins when she took over, she got things going. So I know she gets criticized, but let me tell you what, in screwworms, she's done all she can do within the bureaucracy, and I have enormous respect for her effort, as well as our Animal Health Commission guys, Bud Dingus and T.R. Lansford, those two guys that head up Animal Health Commission. I visit with them on a regular basis sometimes too, and so the effort is there. The problem is, no matter how much effort you have, you got a beast of a critter that we have to deal with, and it's here. And so there's just not one big giant fly swatter to squash it. That we've got to manage it until we can get enough flies to eradicate it. And last time it took 10 years. So that's the reality. All
right. Well, everybody's just going to have to keep an eye on it. Greg, thanks for being with us this morning.
Herman, I've always enjoyed it. And you call me back, we'll do it again sometime.
All right. Well, we're going to have to do regular updates on this business. So, all right.
I'm in.
All right.
All right, my friend. Take care.
All right. Hang on just a second. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this morning's edition, got a little bit of update, and maybe learned a little something and kind of get a little bit of a handle on what to expect. So, this weekend's edition was also brought to us by Shaw's Bend Social Club. Country club folks that don't have a country club. Now, go out, have a big weekend, have lots of fun, be safe, and y'all just remember, pretty much any day is sure a good day to be out in the woods.